Cool.
All right.
Instead of rolling, we actually should start. We should start this podcast with how we start the record. Run it.
Or how we start the live show.
And you can do that with your mouth or on drums. It works easy.
Well, that's the thing that you got to realize.
Kablakaboom.
Yeah. Okay, so Pink Crustaceans and Good Vibrations.
Year?
Let's see.
2008.
2008.
Recording in 2008.
We've been through the Give It Up radio times. We've been through the Atlantic Records No Shame times. Yep. I meet Dave Grohl during this time at HF Festival.
Wait. Don't you mean we meet Dave Grohl in the elevator while he's holding Baja Fresh?
Yeah, but this is my hero.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think I saw a picture of this, he looked so scared.
Speaking of which, anyone that's watching the video of this, insert photo.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And so through all that, and unfortunately or fortunately, the Atlantic lets us go, but gives us No Shame back.
Yes.
The record.
Now this record, just for everyone to know, was over $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have never ever had a budget like this because this is our first major label.
Yeah.
And we're just going, oh my God, you guys, this is going to be the ultimate resurgence for Law Records.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
now Pink Crustaceans is Pepper's first new Law Records release.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because basically, No Shame was because if like any other band you're looking at, they're like, oh, we're getting let go by our label. Oh, that sucks. Whatever.
Yeah.
But then we realized they were giving us the fuel to put in the tank
Absolutely.
of our own record label, Law Records.
Exactly. Well, you got to understand too,
Sourcing right now.
Volcom's death grip on Conatown and In with the Old is not going anywhere, right?
No.
But
Immigrants' children.
Yeah, Immigrants'
To this
kids.
day.
Right.
To this day.
And so,
Image.
but the cool thing is they never signed giving it, which is why we released it with additional songs.
Like we talked about in the other episode.
Right.
That's right.
Because now we're like, wait a minute, we actually can do our own record label.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much the conception of Law Records.
Right.
So we had old material that we released on Law Records as our first Law Records release.
Exactly.
Pepper.
And then came Supervillains and a couple other. And I think
Pacifier.
Thank you, Pacifier. And I think what we're trying to say, though, was when we got No Shame, because it had gotten so much groundwork already through the work that Atlantic and us had done on it already, that it was a real gas on that fire for Law Records, because we were like, ooh, this album's in action still. It's got a lot of action. We're going to plug it right into the pipeline of Law Records.
Right.
And then we went in with Paul Leary again.
Yep.
Because we had such an amazing time working with him for No Shame.
Yep.
And went straight back to Total Access, right a couple doors down from here, and went in to record Pink Crustaceans and Good Vibrations, which is an homage to Club Dread, first of all. We'll talk about the name.
Pure comedy.
They always ask about that. They're like, this name, and they'll kind of butcher the name.
Yeah.
But they're like, it was a movie, wasn't it a thing where I was like, keep going,
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that so many people know that kind of niche movie that we love.
Because it's a Broken Lizard movie, and it was a character, Coconut Pete, in Club Dread.
Who was based off of Jimmy Buffett.
Yes.
Forgot his name.
And I think you mean Pina Coladas.
Thank you.
And it was
Margaritaville.
it was one of his albums on the movie was Pink Crustaceans and Good Vibrations. Another one was Sea Shanties and Wet Panties.
Yep. Don't forget Spanish Fly Fisherman.
Yeah, Spanish Fly Fisherman. That one might come up at some point down the road for us.
Oh my God.
And so track one, Run It, is one that sees, we actually started more than probably half the shows of this whole last tour with Freeze.
Right. On the comeback.
Yeah. And what I remember first is I remember that demo you had for it, Clow.
Which I made at Annie's house.
Yes.
Downstairs.
Yes.
And this was a really unique time for me because
4-track? Was that a 4-track?
That was no, it was the digital recorder that Wisner on the in 2006 on the 311. Wisner was recording all that stuff.
Yes, during soundcheck, Wisner was recording us doing basically pre-production for No Shame almost.
Yes, basically that's what it was, right?
Interesting.
And so let's see. Oh, I just had acquired an SH-101, and there was another amp, a Fender amp called a G Deck. It was like this digital. It's like a really shitty amp, but it had like all these digital sounds on it.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with like, oh, okay, all right, this is great. I don't have like a lot of time to set up sounds. This is perfect. So the demos were working, and then you get that demo-itis.
Yeah.
This was a unique time for me because it was we actually had a moment where we didn't have to tour as hard because we hit 07 so hard. I think 07 was what you said. We did 3 nationals and a European tour, right?
Yes.
Right. And so when we got...
Which we just realized this last summer, actually, when we saw the settlement sheets from Corpus Christi, and we headlined there twice, and then did the Warped Tour that summer. So
yeah, okay. So I think we all hit that breaking point, right? And so I remember working on 3 albums during this time because we weren't touring.
So that was the front half of 2008.
So that was like Pink... Yeah, that was Sabotage Sound System, and that was Naughty Dawn early years,
right?
And just tinkering, like because we had time, which we have never had before.
Yeah.
So this was a super like, oh, okay, great. So the demos really like No Shame. The demos were really kind of like imported and important for this next record with Leary. And when you played anything from your demos to Leary, it was instant fire to him.
Yeah.
He was so excited. He would get so excited about the demo, not want to touch anything.
Yeah.
He'll want to like redo Sonics, but like as far as like an arrangement and just the tempo and all that kind of stuff, he was really stoked.
And not like, just to jump ahead real quick and then back, is I think Leary has one of the most excited moments recording with us ever during the Pink Crustacean session.
I think
and it
I know
has
what
to
you're
do
saying.
with percussion.
Okay, let's save that.
Right.
Yeah, we'll save that. Just jump ahead real quick. Now we're back.
Many.
So Freeze, we brought in. He was like, "Oh my god, I absolutely love this." And I was like, "Okay, great." And so we basically just modeled that, except with live instrumentation, on top of it,
right.
And then, I mean that kicks off the whole thing. It was almost kind of like it was new for us. It was more of like a dancey song.
Yeah,
it's just like a 4 on the floor.
Yeah, which is why it always translates so well during the live show, because it has that solid energy to it that you know what I mean?
Right, and that bass line, do 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 do.
Yeah.
Do 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 do. Like it's like almost like a what do you call that dance? A waltz?
And what?
You know what I mean? Right?
And was it always? Did we have any other ideas for the first song on the record, or was it always?
I think at this point we didn't even have we didn't have like an order. We didn't have a sequence.
Yeah.
We were just throwing them out.
Right.
And just like, and because, Leary just wanted to keep hearing and hearing and hearing and get more and more and more and more and more excited. Like everything like we were bringing to him at this time was like really, he was happy with.
Right.
And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I wasn't even that happy with the stuff I was bringing to the table at this moment, but his excitement like carried over, and it made it more exciting to me.
Right.
To like go, oh yeah, okay, sick.
Right.
But yeah, I remember Freeze being like, okay, good. This one's really smooth, easy. And I mean, we pretty much wrapped that one up quick.
Yeah. Do you remember when we recorded that?
So
during the session, was it towards the beginning of the session, or was it?
Yeah, it was. It was because that demo was pretty much done.
Yeah. Like I remember even like right after pretty soon after we released No Shame, I think I remember hearing that demo from you.
Yeah.
So it was like so ahead of it was like, oh, sick. Now we got shit for the next record already, which is epic. So, and that's what I do remember is it didn't really change at all, except for like Leary's sick shit he put on the chorus.
Right.
Okay. That woo.
All the sonics. Yeah.
All that sick sonic shit was like the only real difference, I think. So
was there? Didn't we have the street team? The drum street
corpse.
Yes.
Bobby Alt.
Street Drum Corp.
Yeah.
And isn't there like from Freeze, I remember, wasn't there like a chainsaw or a saw?
They did like 3
Does anybody
songs.
remember any of this?
There was like a whole bunch. Like, so they came in, they set up their thing.
Yes.
Right?
So
It was wild.
let's explain. Street Drum Corps was a guy named Bobby Alt.
Yes.
A good friend of ours that played in a band called Stunned.
Yep.
That we met on
Stunned.
Warped
Sick
Tour
band.
in 2003. An amazing band that was one of those bands when we were seeing them on 2003. I was like, these guys, kind of like CKY. where I was
These
like,
guys are
would
going-
be the biggest
going to
band
the top.
in the world. 100%.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
And
then,
they
like,
were. Remember, people, you see all like famous
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
on
they
the
were
stage
massive.
at the fucking Warped Tour.
So Bobby, his brother, and Frank Zumo, who plays drums for Sum 41 now, have this outfit called the Street Drum Corps, which is basically like, what do you think, like a punk rock blue man group?
Wow,
kind of
perfectly
vibe?
said.
Like, forgive me if they don't like to be.
No, but
compared,
performance,
but, yeah,
full performance.
I think they're actually going to use that.
But full,
Yeah, that could be.
Tell you
Put
the
that in your
truth.
bio.
next press release,
Right.
Yeah.
Next press release.
But super punk rock. The
Yeah.
way they dressed was super punk rock, and they were on Warped Tour in 2007.
Or was it 3?
Right?
I think. Or was it 3?
I think it was just.
I think Stun was 3, and then they did that later.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
because 2007
That makes
we
sense.
did Warped Tour, became Love
I
Them.
remember. Yeah, I
and
remember
then
knowing
saw
Bobby
Bobby
for
again.
a while. That's
Yes.
why before we went in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then we met Drum Corps on Warped Tour 2007, and then the next year we recorded Pink Crustaceans.
Yep.
So it makes sense. We were like,
And I remember us being blown away because it looks like the end of like an apocalyptic film. What their stage and setup looks like.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting everything from trash. They have like, it looks like a construction site got hit by a bomb but with a studio built into it, right? And that's what they brought in is like a bandsaw. They brought in like
belt sanders,
something like equipment that you're like, why is this in the
like
studio?
the set of Wind on Water.
There you go.
Let's just put it there. Okay.
Yeah.
We're building it, and but I could have sworn there's like and in time he'd be like, cut this piece of wood, zing, freeze.
Yeah.
Am I crazy or is that a dream? Or?
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Am I wrong?
That sound is in the chorus?
Yeah.
Is it one of the Street Drum Corps?
I remember when so what Leary did was he had them come in, and again, Leary is so excited, right?
Oh, yeah.
He had them come in, and he had them play on every single track.
Yeah, that's Larry's style.
Like all the way down.
Yeah.
And then he had them do just their thing.
Yeah.
And then he implemented their thing into wherever he could in the album. So there's all these like little like Easter eggs. It's like there's all these Easter eggs like throughout the entire album, through all the songs.
Yeah.
Where you're not gonna like remember like something, but it'll hit like somewhere. And
Part of the deal. That's crazy.
yeah, and to be totally honest, I haven't listened to Pink in a long time.
No, I was gonna say, hearing you guys talk about it already, this period is such a good snapshot of like how albums are lives. Like, this is a wild period.
Oh, yeah,
like I'm just
totally.
remembering. I'm like, what? I don't remember this album very much.
Yeah,
I don't remember making it. I do remember Paul Leary being like, this is he kind of led the charge.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
very
Like he
much
was the
so.
light. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
But honestly, go listen to this record and go listen to the self-titled record. Go even listen to Ohana, and
Listen to them all.
that shit stands up. Like honestly,
yeah.
like I remember I probably listened to all these records maybe a year ago or a little more, and I was
Good for you.
pleasantly surprised. I was like, damn,
That's badass.
we rip.
Oh, to tell you the truth, I listen to things that you love
badass.
recorded.
Yeah.
Just like maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Trying to learn it.
Uh-huh.
And for real.
Yeah.
And and I was like, not bad because like you know what I mean?
That's
Like
the best thing you can.
Yeah, I was like, not
And then,
bad.
Brett, deep in the deep country, the first track, we're jumping around here.
Oh,
the
yeah,
first track on the self-titled record, which we'll get to next.
Yeah.
Next episode. I'm like, damn, this like, yeah.
want that
It's
feeling.
rad to not like. I think the point I'm trying to make is even with Pink Crustaceans.
Yeah.
It's rad to not listen to something you made forever and then come back to it and listen to it after years and years and years of not.
Now I'm excited to do that.
Yeah,
It's,
you're usually pleasantly surprised.
like how we talked
Matured
about
ears.
it.
Yeah,
Like-
and just shows all the love that Leary put into it. You can just hear it and like.
I remember. I'll tell you as they come through, but it's interesting. But you're saying that's kind of cool to know. Is like listening back to it is more like when you watch like fucking Dirty Dancing. You're like, oh, that shit holds up. Versus
Over the top.
Bill and thank you. Or Bill and Ted's The Bogus Journey or something. Where you're like,
didn't
so
really
that
hold up.
pumps me up, bro. Okay, because I
No,
can't.
check it out sometime for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't think Bogus Journey ever held up.
I don't remember what.
Not even at the
He never
It never
did.
held up.
Not even on release.
Yeah,
night,
not
bro.
even not even when it was new. And then moving on, what was after
so
Freeze?
Track 2 was Davey Jones' Locker.
Oh, Got it.
Another played it on here. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that demo or what? I kind of can't remember the inception of that.
I don't.
Track.
I have a feeling because I was trying to think of this before, like, oh yeah, just like I did before the other pod. It's such a fun time capsule, but I feel like there wasn't, as far as me. Remember, I was in the other stuff saying like, oh, I got a machine and I was having demos, and I think we had toured so much that I was just not prepared, not really, and kind of just jammed,
or we were just kind of.
But you said 3 national tours and an international tour. When were you home?
Yeah.
When was I don't remember really demoing a lot of this stuff. Maybe a couple of those, but I don't know, man.
I remember always being really stoked on Davey Jones' Locker, though.
I think so. Like in that time.
Was this a sound check jam?
I don't know.
I bet it.
You know what?
It is.
Here's my one memory.
I bet it was.
Leary did this cool thing of like, because he would always do. He was kind of leading our charge of like maybe the energy was low or maybe we were burnt out or what. Maybe it's part of the feeling, but he would add something to every track that I remember hearing later because. Like, we weren't there for the tracking all the time. I wasn't personally all the time. It was kind of like we did it kind of more segmented where we could fit in at times and stuff. But he put like, he made a guitar sound like bubbles at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did you do that? And that's when I started to realize what a genius he was in that way. Because we saw it on No
chorus?
Shame. I think so. But I remember he turned a guitar and it came out like bubbles. And I was like, how did you do that? Just real cool magical stuff with that. But he encouraged all kinds of cool stuff like, singing falsetto for this one and like, just take chances in the way. But I just remember not being prepared and there's good and bad to that. And so I think a lot of fun stuff happened that I would have demoed into it. So
just around the record, didn't we realize there was a different hotel to stay at besides Sea Sprite at this time around?
Well, yeah, this was our residency at what was the Best Western?
Yeah, it was
now the Redondo Beach Inn.
Right. And then because for No Shame, they put us up in the Sea Sprite place. That's basically a motel on the sand. But it's
bougie now, baby.
Yeah, it's bougie now. But back then it was a motel in every sense of the word.
Oh my God.
And then for Pink Crustaceans, we got a hotel at what was the Best Western then, and we were like, oh.
Well, I think we were there for like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think we had rooms there for 8 weeks.
So it was nice. It was nice to be in more of a modern.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't have been 8 weeks.
Modern experience as far as it was probably close. Though.
You know, like 8 weeks, like it's like dog years, right?
Yeah.
So I guarantee it's like more like 3 weeks, but it's 8 weeks
but it felt like
hotel years.
Maybe to us.
You're probably right.
Right. And funny now you talk about that too. Like I think even that, like that song is more like. Just being on tour, another song where you're like, I'm tired of being there it is. There was no demo. It was just we were kind of making or creating kind of more on the fly or within that year because that song is a weary sea traveler.
Yeah, and it's a good analogy too with the whole like you're on tour and you're on a ship, which is kind of true when you're on tour. The bus is your ship.
Above ground submarine.
Exactly. So like
barnacles on you. Yeah.
That's so interesting that coming from such like I think of improvisational type of
a lot of syllables.
Type of playing. It reminds me of like the Chili Peppers. How everything they write, they say it's just improvising. We just get together and jam and improvise, and then we pull pieces out, and that's what it becomes. So it's like it kind of seems like we went down that.
I think so.
Improvising type of road and just
without trying to. We were kind of like parked the ship or the tour bus where we're at and got out. And I remember even at the time of like our management saying like, Jesus guys, you guys are fucking worn out or something. And we're like, you booked all these tours. We asked you to, like you said.
We booked
of course we booked them. And
also they booked the studio.
They're like, hey guys, what's the matter? You tired? Hey, wake up, have some coffee. Yeah, get in the studio. Yeah, no. And that's a crazy time. Jesus. What else? What else we got?
Yeah, we're moving into
things that you love.
There it is.
Perfect. Yep. Another demo that was
exactly.
This one we were jamming a lot.
Yeah,
this goes back to like what we were talking about in the past podcast, where it's like we should have done more versions.
Yeah,
because we had one live version we were super stoked on, and then we had this demo version that Leary was absolutely freaked. And so this is where like this is why we should do more than one version. Like when you like go back and listen to the Wailers there's so many different versions of all the things that they've put out and recorded.
Just a lot of old reggae in general.
You know what I mean? Like, and then Bob goes and he does, as Bob Marley in the Wailers, he does Wailers songs in a different version. So one's ska, one's super roots. And so it's like, I was really like talking about this the last time we were together. It's like, man, would have been really fun.
What were the live versions that we were doing?
So the live version for Things I Love it was more like an accurate us of the time that we were it.
Yeah.
I love, like, going back, listening to Things That You Love a couple of weeks ago, like I said, like the version's sick.
Yeah.
It's great. But I also don't remember what we did live with it before we recorded it.
I wonder if it's kind of, because we play it a little different live.
Oh, guaranteed.
Where it's not just a kick and a snare thing for the drums. Yep. There's like 16ths on the eye. There's like a halftime fucking...
4 on the floor feel?
No, halftime shuffle. Thank you.
It's a copy.
For on the hi-hat for the live version.
Right.
So I'm guessing it was probably kind of closer to that, unless it was a 4 on the floor thing.
Well, we're gonna have to like refer to the mini disc that Ramey has, because that's kind of like where all these are. Like that's where all these are stored.
Yeah,
you know,
because we're recording on mini disc at sound checks too.
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah, Ramey was recording everything.
Yeah. Youngsters out there, mini disc is kind of like a baby CD.
They don't know what a CD is.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it was in a case.
It was inside of a protective.
Yeah, so it was almost like a mini little video game.
Like now I'm lost.
It's like cartridge.
It was the future.
It's a hard floppy disc.
It was so sick.
So
to
just
me back
Google
then.
that. Kids.
It's a mini little CD and a little cartridge.
Ramey got one, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Right? He was recording live shows, and I was like, I spent every dime I had on that, and was like collecting them. Probably how people collect vinyl or baseball cards or something in between. I still have those things, and I want to go through them and just like you're saying, and see what the hell's on there.
Oh yeah. But after that, Things That You Love, that recorded, I was like, okay, all right, I like this. You know, the demo's good. It was great. Again, Leary led the charge.
Yeah.
I really am kind of like curious about what we did with it live as us.
Yeah, and I'm wondering,
because we were like sharp. We were exhausted, but we were like, you could play in your sleep. We were playing so much that your chops are just good anytime. If you had a show at like, I don't know, 3:30 a.m. Portugal, you would just roll out of bed after traveling all day and just rip the show because you were that good.
Yeah,
we were just really, really good at that time. Yeah. So I really want to I want to explore that. So that'll be on the next one. Mistakes and outtakes too.
Once we unearth all these. Well, and we're gonna need to find a working mini disc. Do they still make those? The mini disc players?
We owe it to ourselves to find all this.
I remember Ramey had one in his car. I think.
Yeah, he had a
that guy?
Yeah. He had a deck.
Yeah,
when we got the money.
He had a mini disc.
Well, they were that sick. They were so sick. Yeah. You could record over them. Yeah, that was really cool.
And it was just the sound quality was really good, right?
I think it was top of the line of the time.
Yeah, it was like the best stereo recording.
Yeah.
Live recording you could get.
I remember one last thing on that is you could plug in like a lapel mic, like a baby microphone, and plug it in. And I remember the bands we would tour with, I'd be like, oh, this band's sick. This is Igor and the Schnackenrockers in Germany or whatever. Or Flogging Molly. I want to get this set. And you could like plug it in, wear it on your lapel, and kind of stand somewhere, not right in front of house, but like somewhere, and get a pretty solid recording of whoever was playing.
Yeah.
I think we have some old Pepper stuff like that. We got to go through that. That'd be interesting.
And you know what, honestly too, like let's talk about the songs a little more, because we're so geeked out. We're like nerds as far as recording, like, you know, lapel mic.
So cool.
Like, let's give the fans a little bit more of like, hey, all right. So really quick, I'll just Things That You Love is just like an observation piece, you know, it's just like, it's just really that. But the way that we recorded it really gave like this Motown kind of swing to it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And like, it was a Motown swing, and that was the vibe of it. And also too, the lyrics were just like, nothing is like super deep in it. It's just simple observations and just making a quick note of it.
Right.
And in fact, the entire lyrical subject of it is just mostly one-liners. Right. It's just one-liners the whole way through.
Right, where they don't necessarily tie together.
No, but the chorus doesn't the chorus is so vast and open. It's like things that you love, they can disappear.
Yeah.
So you can have that kind of story, kind of like that one-liner story situation, while having things that you love, they can disappear. Like no matter what you love or what you're talking about.
It's almost like just a bullet point.
Yeah.
Like the lyrics, you can list them as bullet points almost, just because they're all things that you love.
Almost like a shopping list or like a goal list, you know, of what you got.
Yeah.
No, that one's been super fun to play live. I don't remember, like we said, how we played it back in the day, but for sure on the tour, like that's kind of a fun thing that I've noticed is however they were recorded. I know you're saying, oh, we could have done it this way or whatever. And I totally get that. I think.
Well, I kind of want it both, right? I want to hear the live and I want the Motown. Like, and going back to like how many different versions like the old artists used to do. I'm so intrigued by that for us because we, on our turnaround, like we're talking about, I mean, we were in and out. Like we didn't have a lot of time in the studio because we had to get back on the road ASAP.
We were cogs in the wheel at that point.
Are you sourcing? No, that's badass.